organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, get a glimpse at Iowa City's annual Veterans Conference.
And learn how a visitor to the University of Iowa promoted campus sustainability.
And in sports, the men's basketball team opens up their season this Sunday with an exhibition game in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Find out what the team is doing to help get fans in the seats.
All that's coming your way next. Daily Iowan TV starts now. Thanks for tuning in to Daily Iowan TV, your television news, sports, and weather source for the Daily Iowan. I'm Reed Chandler.
And I'm Emily Bussey. The University of Iowa student government claims they are closer to starting up their 24-hour cab service. The cab service would be available to male and female UI students and is part of UISG's campaign to increase campus safety. The UISG Vice President, Brittany Kaplan, told the Daily Iowan they're prepared to work with any budget to make this service happen, even if they have to use the whole budget. Iowa City cab companies will have 3 weeks to place a bid on being the UI cab service, and you can read more about the plan in Thursday's edition of the Daily Iowan.
And a fairly new student organization at the UI is starting its second year of campaigning for people to register as bone marrow donors. Project Marrow's goal is to raise awareness on bone marrow donation and to get UI students to sign up on the donor registry. The UI business professor's nephew is in need of a transplant and is featured on the project's flyers. Be sure to tune in to Daily Iowan TV tomorrow for a closer look at Project Marrow's campaign.
In line with the UI's environmental initiatives, the Department of Sustainability invited author Frances Lepay to speak on sustainable foods. Lepay spoke yesterday in the Iowa Memorial Union, and she is best known as author of the book Diet for a Small Planet. Lepay talked to the Iowa community on creating a more sustainable world and climate change and how that is affecting our nation.
How can we make sure that our food system in the U.S. becomes a health threat? How can we do that? Hey, what can we do to make sure that now what it is? 1 in 3 of our children will become diabetic in their lifetime. And much of that is related to the food system we've created. No one gets up with that intent.
Lepay also discussed changing the notion that we have a shortage of resources to one of an interconnected world.
An Iowa City man was recently charged with possession of an illegal substance after an officer found the synthetic drug K2 on him. The arrest sparked controversy as the drug K2 is actually legal in the state of Iowa. K2 is a synthetic form of marijuana that produces similar effects on the brain. However, Iowa City law enforcement cleared the issue today, explaining that most of the time, the K2 has other illegal drugs mixed within it. You can get more information on the story in tomorrow's edition of the Daily Iowan.
And students gathered Wednesday night to learn tips on how not to get evicted. Greg Ball, Director of Student Legal Services, gave students advice on ways to prevent being evicted, but also on how to avoid traps local landlords can set to hike up the costs. Since last spring, several students have been involved in a class action lawsuit against the business Apartments Downtown after several reports came up about landlords charging hidden and unlawful fees. Ball told students there really isn't a way of busting your landlord because there's no one watching their actions. He said the safest way to avoid trouble is to document everything in the apartment before and after living there so you have proof on your side. See what other tips Ball gave to students in Thursday's edition of the Daily Iowan.
Veterans and supporters gathered at the Iowa National Guard Armory for the second annual statewide Veterans Conference today. Daily Iowan TV's Nick Rector was on hand to cover the day-long event.
The University of Iowa teamed up with the Iowa National Guard today for the second annual statewide Veterans Conference. University officials, social workers, counselors, and various statewide organizations gathered to discuss the different needs of veterans as individuals when they return home. Key topics included the proper treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, the Yellow Ribbon Program, and the low graduation rate for veterans at Iowa.
Even as we do our research, even as we look at best practices and models that are available to us, that we also take the time to understand exactly what the individual needs are of our veterans. Because our veterans are so incredibly diverse. They come from all over the country, well, they come from all over the world, really. And they come from a variety of different backgrounds, and they're all going to have different experiences in the military, and therefore their needs are going to be different when they are finished with their term of service and come to
Over 3,000 Iowa National Guardsmen have been mobilized to the Middle East within the past 18 months. However, 72 soldiers from the Davenport Aviation Unit are due to return home from the Iraq War within the next month. Once they do, it will be the first time that the Iowa National Guard unit has not been deployed since the time of 9/11. Nick Rector, Daily Iowan Television.
If you want to learn more about the Iowa National Guard's upcoming events, visit iowanationalguard.com.
And still more to come from Daily Iowan TV. See how the local Kiwanis Club will use funds raised at its chili dinner in Iowa City.
And learn about a new study on young people's role in the shaky economy.
Plus, in sports, see how an impressive fall run is giving the men's tennis team confidence for the 2012 Big Ten season.
All of this and more to come, but first, here's your local weather forecast with Daily Iowan TV's Giovanna Simic.
Thanks, guys. Looks like the cold weather has finally come and we might see some snow tonight. Better have your rain boots and umbrella ready because tomorrow morning it will be 43 degrees with a 30% chance of rain. During the afternoon, you'll see temperatures around 49 degrees and cloudy skies. Tomorrow evening, we will see clear skies with temperatures in the high 30s. And looking at our extended forecast, this weekend we'll see temperatures in the upper 50s and a high of 60 degrees with heavy winds on Saturday. Heading into next week, we will see temperatures in the upper 40s on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's a look at your weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
A national polling group reported youth today are facing a much harder job market than the past generations. The State of Young America study reports the youth unemployment rate is above 17%, which is almost twice the national average. It also reports college graduates have 5% unemployment compared to the 15% rate for those with only high school degrees. And here at the UI, the situation is not very different. The Pomerantz Career Center conducts follow-up research on graduates after 6 months, and only about 61% of the graduates were permanently employed by the 6-month mark.
The Old Capitol Kiwanis Club in Iowa City held its annual chili dinner Wednesday night to raise money for one of its major philanthropies. The group supports multiple philanthropies, the oldest being one called Action Club, which sponsors events for mentally disabled adults.
We put on this chili supper every year as a fundraiser so that we can then in turn contribute to a variety of organizations that support children in the community.
The group had a goal to raise $12,000 during the dinner and said that last year they broke that goal.
And President Obama's approval rating amongst students is lowering according to the newest data released from the UI Hawkeye polls. According to the poll data, 49% of those who responded who are young, educated, and wealthy disapprove of the president, and almost 52% of respondents with some college education disapprove. The annual Hawkeye polls are conducted by students here at the UI within the departments of political science and journalism. And
President Obama has issued new orders aimed at speeding up transportation projects. He said the projects will put construction workers back on the job. Obama made the address in front of the aging Francis Scott Key Bridge, urging Congress to act on the transportation portion of the American Jobs Act.
That we are actually going to expedite loans and competitive grants for new projects all across the country that will create thousands of new jobs for workers like these.
The White House announced today that Obama was ordering the Transportation Department to award $527 million in pending road and bridge repair grants by the end of the year.
And now for a look at Hawkeye sports, we have Daily Iowan TV's Chelsea Byrne.
Thanks, Reed. Well, with weather like it was today, I guess it's finally time to move our sports indoors, which makes it a perfect time for basketball season to begin. This coming Sunday, the Iowa men's and women's teams open up their seasons with exhibition games at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Men's head coach Fran McCaffrey has now been at Iowa a full year, and the potential this basketball team seems to be growing every day. Players and coaches are doing whatever they can to make sure they are fully prepared for the start of the season. And one of the top items on that agenda is to improve the home court atmosphere at Carver. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Tyler Culver has more.
The word of the year at Carver Hawkeye Arena has been improvement. The facilities have been upgraded. Carver now has a new entrance, new seats, a new court, new curtains, and a new practice facility. Players and coaches have a year of experience of working with each other, and new players have been added. And over the summer, there was a major splash made in the recruiting front. Despite all these efforts, one thing has not improved as much as the Hawkeye basketball team would like: season ticket sales. Last year, Iowa sold the second most student season tickets since 2001-02 with 1,603. This year's total, however, currently stands at 1,550. Last year, 4,360 general public season tickets were sold. This year, they are at 4,000. This has the athletics department on a mission to get more people in the seats, students in particular. Tuesday afternoon, students were invited out to Carver to pick up their student tickets, get free pizza, and watch the team practice. Students were told to get rowdy and be obnoxious and treat the visiting teams like Iowa gets treated at opposing venues. Right now, whether the marketing efforts will pay off this season and the number of students attending games improves is hard to judge. But one thing is for certain, winning games usually helps. Tyler Culver, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
The men's exhibition against Northwest Missouri State will follow the women's game at Carver on Sunday, with tip-off set for 3:35 p.m. And for the first time since 2008, the Iowa women's soccer team received a tournament bid to fight their way to a Big Ten title. The run was cut short, though, after a 4-3 loss in a penalty shootout to Michigan State. After beating Wisconsin on Saturday, the Hawks were slated to play the Spartans Wednesday morning in Chicago, a team Iowa had beat 1-0 earlier in the season. Despite a hard-fought regulation play, the two teams were still tied at the buzzer. Still 0-0 after overtime play, the two teams faced off in a shootout. A missed goal by Chloe Lacasse gave the Spartans the 4-3 win to move on in the tournament and end the Hawkeye season, giving them an overall record of 13-4-3. And the men's tennis team hasn't reached the level of success it had hoped the last few seasons, despite having a solid core group of players. But that could all change come this spring, as the team's fall season showed the improvement in hard work the players are putting in. Daily Iowan TV's Giovanna Simic tells us some of the keys to the team's newfound success.
The Iowa men's tennis program has made a lot of changes in recent years, and although Iowa finished last season with a losing conference record, their impressive run during the fall season shows an improvement for the upcoming spring season.
I do think that this fall gave us a lot of confidence as far as going into the spring, both team-wise and individually, too.
The Hawkeyes hosted the Big Ten indoor tournament for the first time in program history, and they came away with great results. Sophomore Jonas Dirks and freshman Matt Hagan won the Flight B doubles, while Dirks made it to the singles semifinals of the main draw. And with these two players being so young, it'll be interesting to see how they improve in the next 2 years.
It's really rewarding to see them just develop, from year to year, and then all of a sudden by the time they're a junior or senior, they're really outstanding players.
In his 31 years as head coach of the Iowa tennis program, Houghton knows what players have to do to reach their full potential.
I just want to see kids mature, both in terms of making good decisions, but also in terms of making sure they get the repetition and they get the schedules they need to get better.
Now, although Coach Houghton believes that the Big Ten is a tough division, he is confident that his team will have a great spring season. Giovanna Simic, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
The Hawks will continue to practice indoors through the winter, heading back outside for the Big Ten season in the spring. Back to you at the desk.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Thursday's pages of the Daily Iowan.
You can get the latest details on the Brian Dykstra trial.
Plus, see how one local blues singer found his passion in Iowa City.
And before we leave you, let's take one last look at Thursday's weather forecast. We'll see a high of 51 degrees and a low of 28 with 30% chance of rain.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Daily Iowan TV. You can tune in tomorrow at the same time or check us out online at dailyiowan.com. For Daily Iowan, I'm Emily Bussey. Thanks for watching and have a great night.